Communication is important in any aspect of your life, especially in an educational and professional setting. In this class, we've learned about different types of power bases and communication profiles, and they definitely intersect at points in how you have your interactions with people. And being able to effectively use both of those together really shapes how your interactions with people go. In this speech, I'm going to talk about a recent job interview I had and how that kind of impacted my professional goals moving forward. So, to start talking about the last interview I had, it didn't go particularly well. Not that I think I did anything wrong, it was more I wasn't much of a fan of the interviewer. They used a dominant communication style, which was referenced in chapter 18 of the textbook. It wasn't very effective. It felt very forward and aggressive. It felt like they just kind of wanted to see what I could do for them. It didn't have much of a what would appeal to me in wanting the job. It was more just, I'm the boss. What can you do for me? And they had legitimate power, which is referenced in chapter 10. That power is when you have power delegated to you from having a certain job or title. This interviewer was the boss of the company, so they definitely had that legitimate power being in charge of everything. Again, I felt it came across a little too much, not very kind, and I felt that in the interview, and it didn't make me want the job at all. I think they could have used expert power, which is referenced in chapter 10 as well. If they told me what they were expecting from me, what they wanted from me, and explained how they've been in the business for a while. They have a lot of experience, and here's what I want you to do, and here's why I want you to do it. Here's how I want you to do it because we've tried X, Y, and Z, and this is the best way to do it. So I think if they use that type of communication style, power base, I think it would have gone over a little well in terms of how I perceived the interview. So that kind of led me to evaluate what I want to do in a professional setting, my goals in a career, and what I learned is some different types of communication profiles I'd like to have as an employee or a boss in the future. And the first one I thought of was a conscientious communication profile, which was referenced in chapter 18. I'm a very logical thinker. I'm very task oriented, very detail oriented. I like to get my tasks done efficiently, quickly, and accurately. And I think that aligns well with a conscientious communication profile. I kind of act that way already, I believe. You come off a little closed off sometimes, so that's something I'd like to open up a little bit, which leads to me wanting to tie in the influential communication profile, again, reference in chapter 18. And that's when you want to get other people involved, other coworkers, and kind of hype them up and be positive. And when you can get everybody involved like that, everybody's positive, everybody's doing a good job, that leads to a better work environment, a better team culture you'd have. And when everybody's on the same page, everybody's positive, it leads to better results and better output at the workplace. I'd like to stay away from, like I mentioned before, the dominant communication profile, which is referenced in chapter 18, along with the legitimate power base. I think those two kind of go hand in hand. It comes off a little bit self-centered and egotistical. It's like, I'm in charge. Here's what I want. You're going to do it because I said so and I'm the boss. I don't think that goes over well as an employee, as somebody in a position of power. And those are definitely two things I'd like to stay away from in terms of my goals in the future in a professional setting. My motivation to reach these goals, I think when you combine these methods that I spoke about, I think it leads to a good employee, somebody that gets their work done, gets it done efficiently, accurately, but is well liked, and somebody that people like to work with, somebody people would want to work for. And I think that's the type of person you'd want to be in a professional setting. You want to be serious enough at times to be able to get your work done, but you want to be likable enough and inclusive enough to have a good relationship with coworkers and peers. I think this differs from how other people go about things in a couple different ways. I think some people can be a little lazy, or they just want to skate by however they can. They just want to come in, get a paycheck, and leave. I take a lot of pride in my work. I like to be good at whatever I'm doing, no matter what it is. So I think, again, when you combine everything I talked about today, it leads to being a good employee and somebody that can climb the ladder and really prosper in any field.